Welcome to the program. President Uhuru Kenyatta has pledged to provide armored vehicles to the police. The Kenyan president was speaking at the Directorate of Criminal Investigation Training School, where he presided over the closing of a meeting between the Inspector General of Police and all regional and county police commanders. The armored personnel's carriers, according to President Kenyatta, will help the police to fight terrorism and organized crime without depending on the military. President Kenyatta said grounded police helicopters were under repair and the government would acquire 2 more police helicopters by June.
We have taken the lessons we have learned to make plans for the coming year. And principally, Your Excellency, we will continue working on our own and with other security agencies and with other government departments and the people of this country to combat principally the threat of terrorism, the threat of banditry and cattle rustling, and to focus on people who make intemperate statements aimed at causing intercommunal tensions and unnecessary conflict.
This country is positioned very, very well, both regionally and globally, in terms of all the positive things that are happening. And we only need to mess up in one space: corruption and integrity deficit. But this country is also looking for men and women like you to be able to be worthy of being emulated by the youth.
They know their rights better than any previous generation in this country's history. And this calls for all of us to strike a delicate balance between uncompromising enforcement of the law as well as the observance of human rights. This will avoid unnecessary litigation against the government by aggrieved members of the public, and it will protect the public interest that is essential to success.
Kenya's Murang'a political leaders have come out to express their support for the Kenya Defence Forces mission in Somalia, led by Kigumo Member of Parliament Jamlek Kamau. The leaders have also commended opposition leaders for their show of solidarity as the country mourns soldiers killed in a recent attack in Alade. They are now calling on the country to stand with the soldiers and give them moral support in the fight against the Al-Shabaab insurgents in Somalia.
And also, of course, thank the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, for agreeing to attend that function. And for once, we have seen the opposition shed their normal criticism of the government, and they have joined the government today and the president today in commemorating our heroes. And I think that is the way to go. When we are faced with issues like these ones, we must be able to come together as a nation, devoid of our partisan politics, and make sure that we all support each other and support our forces and ensure that we give them as much moral support as possible so that they can be able to continue defending this country. We will be making a big mistake by withdrawing from Somalia.
I want to condole with the families of the KDF soldiers that died in the line of duty and say pole sana to these people, to the families, and also look forward to our KDF finding solutions in the Somalia country. Particularly, we are still waiting for some of maybe the soldiers. We don't know whether they are dead or alive. We want them back home, dead or alive, those who are injured, so that we can take care of them. And I'm in support of His Excellency, the President's position. And as a legislator, I know that we did authorize the occupation of the areas in Somali that are not peaceful by our soldiers. And I continue to say that they will stay there, and this is not time to withdraw. We should put topmost gear to pursue, to hunt, and to destroy the enemy in the name of Al-Shabaab.
The United Nations Security Council met with Burundi's President Pierre Nkurunziza yesterday to push for peace talks and an international force to put an end to worsening political violence. The meeting that yielded little progress, according to U.S. Ambassador Samantha Power, brought together the head of state and the 15-member council, which arrived in Burundi's lakeside capital Bujumbura on Thursday. Trix Ingado reports.
The delegation met with President Pierre Nkurunziza in Gitega for more than 2 hours. The meeting, a second of its kind in less than a year, came a day after rebels in the smallest East African state raised the stakes in the crisis by declaring a general who led a failed coup in May as their leader. This deepened concern that Burundi is sliding back into conflict after its ethnically charged civil war ended in 2005. Nkurunziza's re-election for a third term sparked the crisis, which has raised fear of an ethnic conflict in a region where memories of Rwanda's 1994 genocide remains fresh. The Burundi government insists there is no ethnic bias, but opponents say districts in Bujumbura, where many Tutsis live and which were also hotbeds of protest against Nkurunziza last year, have been targeted, with some Tutsis singled out. The president has rejected the deployment of an African peacekeeping force, saying the troops would constitute an invading force. The issue is expected to be the focus of an African Union summit at the end of January.
We have told them that the government is following what the constitution says. Burundi has signed the international laws, which we follow.
Samantha Power made clear that the council wants to see more dialogue and an enhanced UN presence in Burundi.
I want to stress the Security Council has been in Burundi twice in the last 10 months. The only time in the history of UN Security Council missions that we have visited a country twice in such a short period of time was Burundi back in the 1993-1994 period. None of us want to support efforts at dialogue because we believe as a council that a more substantial international presence here can help. We've conveyed those points to the president. We hope he will hear our message. We hope he will he and his government will be open to ideas about how the international community can support efforts to bring peace to Burundi. It is in this meeting we did not achieve as much, frankly, as I think we would have liked. But we never give up. The cause of peace in Burundi is too important to give up. And so we will continue the dialogue. And we did agree on the urgency of the Burundian dialogue, the importance of potentially also broadening that dialogue to include other players. And so hopefully that is a step that can be taken very, very promptly, because there is a cri de coeur from many, many people in Burundi for outside help and for urgent mediation to get a political solution.
The United Nations estimates the death toll at 439 people, but says it could be higher. More than 240,000 people have fled abroad. The rebel group Forebu announced on Thursday that it was now commanded by the former intelligence chief, General Godfrey Niobare. The group said it welcomed international mediation but also called for Burundians to support their fight against Nkurunziza. Burundi's government has accused neighboring Rwanda of supporting the rebel group by training and arming Burundian refugees recruited on Rwandan soil. Nkurunziza raised those accusations again on Friday with the Security Council, said diplomats who were in the closed-door meeting. Rwanda previously dismissed the allegations.
I think this is just childish, talking about refugees being recruited or by what. We have heard those stories, and we have told these people, carry out investigations and find out who is gone where and how did they go there, and let us know.
Months of talks between the government and the opposition last year failed to make progress. Fresh negotiations began at the end of December in Uganda have already failed. Nkurunziza backed Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni's mediation efforts. Regional Western diplomats say the government has set too many conditions about who can attend talks to make them meaningful. They also say rebels may believe they can make more gains through force of arms than at the negotiation table. Trix Ingado, KTN News, Nairobi.
The government of Uganda has said it will stop sending housemaids to Saudi Arabia, eclipsing a deal between the two nations to ship workers to the wealthy Gulf nation amid complaints of poor conditions and mistreatment. The government says the ban will remain until working conditions in Saudi Arabia are deemed fitting. The two nations had signed a deal in July for the deployment of university graduates to work in the oil-rich Saudi Arabia. This was seen as a way of addressing high unemployment rates among young people in Uganda, but the Ugandan government has gotten complaints of workers being treated inhumanely by their employers in Saudi Arabia. According to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Welfare, the ban also comes after an audio recording was widely circulated this week on social media of Ugandans in Saudi Arabia who said they were being tortured and imprisoned. According to official Ugandan figures, some 500 housemaids have been shipped to the wealthy Arab nation since the deal took effect. However, an immigration official at Entebbe Airport, speaking on condition of anonymity, said about 100 Ugandans on average leave each day to seek work in Saudi Arabia. Indonesia, Ethiopia and the Philippines have banned the flow of migrant workers to Saudi Arabia until they can be assured that the workers were given basic labor rights. ODM leaders in Kilifi County have criticized rebel members of parliament working closely with the Jubilee government, claiming they are confusing voters in the predominantly called turf. This comes after Uhuru Kenyatta's tour of the region that seems to not have gone down well with the parliamentarians.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's Malindi tour seems to have ruffled the feathers of ODM leaders in Kilifi County, coming barely weeks after the president appointed legislator Dan Kazungu to the cabinet.
Maendeleo ya nchi haileti na rais. Mugao wa nchi anayegawa si rais. Anayegawa mugao wa nchi ni bunge letu la kitaifa. Kama una mbunge wa Kikore mundapata. Ikiwa mna mbunge Maziwalala hamutapata chochote.
While addressing a public gathering at Majilango Baya Primary School grounds on Thursday, Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi accused President Kenyatta of failing Kenyans and now resorting to poaching ODM MPs to gain political mileage at the coast.
Kitu ambacho kinanishangaza, wale ambao walikuja hapa na wakasema kwamba ODM si chochote, haina maana, kwa hivyo tuingie Jubilee. Wale ambao wanazungumza hivyo wako ndani ya ODM, lakini wanaambia ninyi nendeni kule, lakini sisi hatutoki, tuko hapa, lakini nendani
na kina baba. Kingi also said the appointment of Dan Kazungu as cabinet secretary was well earned and not a political favor. Flanked by women representatives Aisha Jumwa of Kilifi and Mishimboko of Mombasa, the leaders also lashed out at rebel MPs said to be working with Jubilee. MPs they are now accusing of confusing voters.
Usiogope zile nderemo ambazo zitakuja, zile pesa ambazo zitakuja, kwa sababu alivyokuambia ndovu olagwa ndosho. Yinyi wenyewe girema mwamwita kadosho.
Na maana yake pale bungeni hichi kiti, watu wanapiga kura ni bunge kwa mirengo. Kwa hivyo na sisi pia tuwafundishe.
Meanwhile, some of the aspirants who ran on ODM ticket during the nomination exercise have denounced the declaration of Willy Baraka Mtengo as the chosen candidate, saying that the exercise was flawed. Led by Sanga Barawa, who had earlier on accepted the results and publicly declared to support Mtengo, the aspirants convened a press conference in Malindi on Thursday evening where they threatened to ditch the party.
Wakituhusisha tuko tayari. Wakikataa kutuhusisha tutawaachia. Lakini hataki tuambiwe tulichangia kwa ODM kukosa kiti. Tunataka ODM ipate kiti hapa Malindi, lakini nataka ipate kiti kwa njia ambayo inafaa, si kwa kutengana wala kufanyana madharau wala kusema fulani amenunuliwa mwingine hajanunuliwa, kwa sababu ODM wenyewe haina pesa kununua mtu.
Now, KTN News.
The endorsement of Kalonzo Musyoka as the Wiper presidential candidate has set off the countdown towards the nomination for CORD's presidential ticket. And now the Wiper party is under intense pressure to not only register more voters in the Ukambani region, but to also put its house in order by stemming the growing rebellion in the party. And as KTN's Murimi Mwangi now reports from Ukambani, Kalonzo's party wants CORD's other affiliate parties, ODM and Ford Kenya, to pay back Kalonzo's loyalty to the coalition by supporting him during the coming polls.
Niko na nguvu na niko tayari kutumikia Jamhuri ya Kenya kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
It is an acceptance speech that has once again turned the attention to the three CORD principals, each of who wants the coalition's top ticket, but one which Wiper supporters say should not leave Ukambani this time round.
We do believe the internal processes of the coalition will find it fit that Kalonzo is the best person to deliver the presidency.
Ndio sababu tukasema si Wiper wakende waunde Wiper iwe na nguvu, na Ford Kenya iwe na nguvu, na ODM iwe na nguvu. Haya yote itachangia kwa nguvu ya CORD.
Iwe lisiwe, ni lazima CORD ichukue serikali.
No more than ever before, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is under pressure to put the Wiper house in order, and the first task of his brigade is seemingly to trim the growing influence of Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua, who they have all dismissed as an inconsequential loudmouth. And the Wiper lieutenant on cue to clash with Mutua is none other than Mutua's own deputy Bernard Kiala.
Yote ambaye anaendeza porojo ati amenituma mimi hapa kumwakilisha, nasema hiyo ni undanganyifu, ni porojo, chap chap.
Mutua, I tell you, we are serious Kenyans. It is nothing personal. Ni wewe peke yako umeulizwa na polisi, na gavana wa Isiolo Kodana ameshikwa na polisi. Gavana wa Kakamega Oparanya ameshikwa na polisi. Hawashikwi kwa sababu ya kupatwa na bibi ya mtu. It is because of improper use of public funds.
We are not responding to him. We are teaching him. Kazi yake ni government spokesman, mzungumzaji. Lakini sisi ni government thinkers. Tunafikiria na tunaongea.
And in what is slowly shaping up into a repeat of the fierce 2013 presidential campaigns, the CORD coalition has yet again taken the Jubilee government head-on over the land question, particularly at the cost, terming President Uhuru Kenyatta's recent donation of 2,000 acres of family land in Taita Taveta to squatters as a public relations gimmick to conceal the largest squatter crisis ignited by Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's government.
We must as Kenyans come together tuambie Uhuru kwamba hiyo shamba sio yake, ni ya Wataita. Wataita ndio wanastahili kumpatia kaploti kidogo afanye biashara yake hapo.
And just like in 2013, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is yet again on the receiving end, with the CORD brigade accusing IEBC of conducting a biased voter registration exercise to influence the election's outcome.
And we will not go to any game where the referee is the 12th player of the other team. Simamo wa Wiper na CORD ni kwamba lazima wapeleke chombo cha kujiandikisha kama voter in every polling station in this country. Kama hawawezi, we ask you then to step aside so that you leave those who can lead that commission to a free and fair election.
The campaigns are on top gear, and no doubt the next 15 months, during which CORD will nominate a flag bearer, will no doubt witness heated political activity. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News in Machakos.
You're watching The Weekend at 1. We're taking a short commercial break. Don't go too far. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to The Weekend at 1. Now, you may remember a girl from Kisii County who hit the headlines on the day the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination results were released. Well, we caught up with Felicitas Onduso, who has now secured a Form 1 place in the national school that she dreamt of joining. KTN's Fred Moturi brings us the story.
Last year, her neighborhood within the estate was quiet, but immediately after the good news that she had emerged the top girl, jubilation hit the air. As her mother Rachel Nyaboke, neighbors and water vendors celebrated her good performance. It was that precious moment when an achiever could no longer contain her bottled up joy. Felicitas, who has now managed to secure admission at Alliance Girls National School, just as she had wished, is not just an ordinary KCP star, but at the moment believes she has the ability to become a powerful international lawyer.
I would like to go internationally so that at least I can leave a mark in the world and be remembered for the good things that I did.
She was registered as the best girl nationally after scoring 445 marks out of the possible 500 from Gilgil Hills Academy, and she knows that failure may stalk her great journey to success.
No pain, no gain. If you play in school, you'll pay later. By that means that your life will be much harder in future. But then if you get more serious in school later, you'll reap the fruits of your work.
When we visited her in her home at Sandiana Apartments in Kisii Town, she was working on her daily chores, and the eldest child in a family of 5 attributed her great performance to hard work, honesty and faith in God.
What I've come to learn is that if you want to achieve anything or succeed in anything, you must always put God first.
Her mother Rachel Nyaboke, a businesswoman in Kisii Town, said that she had a number of challenges in her life, but the wonderful performance of her daughter holds the promise of her being an agent of change in the socio-economic status of Kenya.
Felicitas amejitetea sana katika masomo yake kwa sababu wakati mwingi amekuwa ni mtoto mwenyewe wa kuchipanga. Si mtoto ambaye atangoja umwambie Felicitas sasa ni wakati wako wa kushika kitabu.
She is very keen in maintaining the top position even in high school, and what encourages her the most is the fact that she will join Alliance Girls High School, where she believes all her success lies.
I'll make sure that I'll be a straight student and do my best and work harder than before.
Her mother says that it was a big struggle for Felicitas to achieve the grades, adding that Felicitas was selfless and God-fearing. Felicitas has now identified her strengths and weaknesses, and she maintains that she will be celebrated again in 4 years' time. Her mother eagerly waits for this aspiring law student to spread her wondrous wings and become a successful lawyer. Fred Muturi, KTN News, Kisii.
And that story brings us to a close here on The Weekend at 1. Many thanks for watching. My name is Michelle Ngele. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.